Do you want to learn how to become a real estate photographer? Check out my course, How to Become a Real Estate Photographer, at rickmcevoyphotography.com. What's the difference between someone who takes snapshots and someone who creates photographs? They see the shot before they press the shutter. That's the difference, and I'm going to teach you how to do exactly that, starting right now. Yes, dear listener. Right, here's a question. Have you ever been out with someone who finds amazing photos everywhere while you're standing in the same place seeing nothing? They're not lucky or more talented. They've trained their eye to see what most people miss. The photographer's eye isn't something you're born with. It's something you develop. It's a skill like learning an instrument or a language. And once you've got it, photography transforms from randomly pointing your camera to deliberately crafting images. Today, I'll show you exactly how to develop this skill, how to look at a scene and immediately spot great photos hiding in plain sight, how to see light, composition and moments before they happen. This isn't mystical, it's practical, trainable, and you'll start doing it by the end of the episode. How utterly splendid. A very good morning, good afternoon, or indeed good evening to you, wherever you are in this world of ours, and whatever time you find yourself listening to my splendid podcast. I'm your host, Rick. Hi. And in each episode, I explain one photographic thing to you in plain English in less than 27 minutes-ish, without the irrelevant details. I'm a professionally qualified photographer based in England with a lifetime of photographic experience, which I share with you in my splendid podcast, How Utterly Splendid. Okay, let's get into this. So, there's a book called The Photographer's Eye by Michael Freeman, which I bought many, many years ago. Now, I've bought a lot of photography books in my time, and I've not read them and then binned them. This is a book I've had for, 20, 30 years, and I've kept it. I've read it once, and I'm going to read it again because doing this episode reminded me the subject matter, the photographer's eye. It's something very dear to me. And that was all off script, blimey. So what actually is the photographer's eye, getting back to the script? The photographer's eye is the ability to look at the world and see photographs. Not just see things, but see them as potential images. It's spotting compositions, noticing light, recognising moments and understanding what will work in a photo before you raise your camera. And I talk about this a lot. Now, most people look at the world functionally. They see a tree as a tree, a building as a building, but photographers see shapes, patterns, lines, textures, light, shadow, and the relationships between all this good stuff. We photographers are constantly asking, what if I photograph that? And we know whether the answer is yes, that'll work, or no, it's not worth it. Now, this isn't about better vision or special talent. It's about training yourself to notice things that are always there, but most people filter out. Your brain constantly processes visual information, but discards most of it as irrelevant. It's a different way of thinking. Think of it like learning a new word. Before you learned it, you'd never heard of it. And once you know it, you hear it everywhere. It's always there. You weren't tuned in to notice it. And the photographer's eye works exactly the same way. Anyone can develop this, they just need to put the effort in. And you don't need expensive gear or years of experience, you just need to know what to look for and practice looking for it. And that's an important point, you have to work at this, okay? And this knowledge has changed me, it really has. See, I'm always looking for things to photograph, a little bit too much if I'm being honest. I'm always watching the light and seeing how it changes over a day, over a year, how everything changes as seasons change. See, we're living in a constantly changing world that I am in day-to-day awe of, and I love studying it. I'm not a student of light, I'm a student of everything visual. I love just looking at stuff and finding great things to photograph. Blimey, are you ready for this? Be careful. If you listen to this and do everything that I say, you might end up like me now. We have to decide, is that a good thing or not? Okay, I've said this before, I'll say it again now. Start with light, always light first. If I could only teach you one thing about seeing like a photographer, it's this. Look at the light before anything else. Light isn't just what makes a photo possible, it's what makes a photo interesting. Most people see a subject and think, I'll take a photo of that. But photographers, we see light and think, that light's beautiful, what can I photograph in it? It's a fundamental shift in perspective and it changes everything. Good light transforms ordinary subjects into extraordinary photos. Bad light makes even the most interesting subjects look flat and dull. Bad light equals rubbish photo. Now, before you photograph anything, ask yourself this. Is the light interesting? Is it directional? Is it creating shadows and depth? Is it warm or cool? Is it harsh or soft? And also ask yourself this. If I move around, does the light become more interesting? Does it make for a better photo? Because that's a power that we all have. Walking around, finding different positions, but studying the light while we're doing it. Now let's talk about golden hour quickly. The hour after sunrise and the hour before sunset. This time is beloved by photographers because the light is low, warm and directional. It creates long shadows, gives everything a beautiful glow, and makes almost anything look good, even me. If you're learning to see like a photographer, start by going out during golden hour. You'll immediately see how different the world looks. But great light isn't limited to golden hour. Oh no. Harsh midday light creates dramatic shadows and contrast. Overcast days provide soft, even light, perfect for portraits. Window light streaming into a room can be stunning. See, once you start noticing light, you'll find it everywhere. I know it's everywhere, but we're not consciously observing it everywhere, are we, until we start doing this? And you don't always get to pick when you take photos, dear listener. More on that later. Right, next point, look for layers and depth. The world is three-dimensional, but photos are flat. One key skill in developing your photographer's eye is learning to see and create depth in your images. This means looking for layers, foreground, middle ground, and background. When you look at a scene, your eyes and brain automatically process depth. You know what's close and you know what's not. But a camera doesn't do this automatically. It's a two-dimensional thing, isn't it? So you need to consciously compose your shot to capture that depth. And if you don't, your photos are going to look flat and two-dimensional and probably boring. Start looking for elements you can place in the foreground. Branches, flowers, a fence, rocks, anything relevant to the photo that adds a layer between you and the main subject. This creates depth by giving the viewer's eye a path to travel through the image. Leading lines are your friend. Roads, paths, rivers, fences, or even shadows can lead the eye from foreground into background. And when you see a line in the real world, ask yourself, where does this lead? Can I use it to create depth? And again with leading lines, as you move around, the leading lines move around, don't they? And they go into different directions and take you to different things. So it's all about looking and thinking, it always is. Look for frames within the scene. Doorways, windows, arches, tree branches, anything that can frame your subject creates instant depth. You're showing the viewer there's a foreground, which is a frame, and a background, which is the subject. Depth in a photo is especially important in landscape photography. The difference between a snapshot and a stunning landscape photograph is quite often depth, or lack of it. That's why landscape photographers obsess about finding interesting foregrounds. They know it separates a good photo from a great one. So practice this, dear listener. When you look at a scene, consciously identify foreground, middle ground and background and ask yourself, what's interesting in each layer? How can I compose this to show all three and then working together in a complementary way? Okay, next tip. See patterns, lines and shapes. Photographers are pattern spotters. We see repeating elements, geometric shapes and strong lines that most people walk past without noticing. Training yourself to see these unlocks a secret level of photography. Patterns are everywhere. Rows of windows on a building, tiles on a floor, leaves on a tree, ripples in water, people standing in a queue. Once you start looking for patterns, you'll see them constantly. Patterns make compelling photos because our brains love order and repetition. But here's the thing. Patterns work even better when someone breaks them. Yes, they do. A pattern of identical windows with one open. A row of red umbrellas, easy for you to say, Rick, with one yellow umbrella. The pattern creates interest and the break creates a focal point. Start looking for broken patterns. It's a great tip. Lines are powerful compositional tools. Vertical lines suggest strength and stability. Horizontal lines suggest calm and tranquility. Diagonal lines create energy and movement. Curved lines lead the eye smoothly through an image. When you see strong lines in the real world, you're seeing potential photographs. And shapes matter too. Triangles, circles, rectangles, any geometric shapes create structure in photos. The silhouette of a person creates a shape. A building against the sky creates a shape. Start seeing objects not as things but as shapes. This abstract way of seeing is how we photographers compose images. So here's something for you to do. Go somewhere mundane like a car park or a shopping centre. These places aren't naturally beautiful, but they're full of patterns, lines and shapes. Challenge yourself to find 10 interesting photos using only patterns, lines and shapes. You'll train your eye to see compositional elements everywhere. I once got some great photos on the top deck of a hospital car park some years ago. The light combined with how I captured boring things in a car park, it gave me some great stuff, and it's something we can all try. Okay, notice moments and decisive moments. Henri Cartier-Bresson. I stopped myself from trying to do a French accent then because that would have been embarrassing and offended the French possibly, which I don't want to do. Henri Cartier-Bresson called it the decisive moment, that fraction of a second when all elements in a scene come together perfectly. Developing your photographer's eye means learning to anticipate these moments before they happen. This is especially important for street photography and photographing people, but it can apply to anything. A bird about to take flight, a wave about to crash, a person about to laugh, the moment a door opens and light streams through. These moments exist everywhere, but you need to be watching for them. The key is anticipation. Don't just react to what's happening. Predict what's about to happen, but you need to practice to do this. Watch people's body language. Notice environmental cues. If someone's walking towards a puddle, anticipate the splash. If clouds are moving toward the sun, anticipate when they'll create interesting light. Yes, this takes practice. You need to slow down and observe. Most people rush through the world, but photographers pause. We stand in one spot and watch. We wait for the moment rather than shooting whatever's in front of us. Timing matters in photography much more than people realise. The difference between a good photo and a great photo is often just a split second. Did you shoot when the person's expression was perfect, or a moment too late? Did you capture the bird in flight, or the empty sky? Practice these things by standing in one location and just watching. A busy street corner, a park, a bench, a beach. Don't photograph immediately. Watch for 5 minutes. Notice the patterns of movement. Notice the movements that keep repeating. Then anticipate when those moments will happen again and be ready with your camera. As you'll be realising, there's a lot of walking, looking and thinking involved in this. And it's not the first time I've said this, is it? No, it isn't, Rick. Okay, next tip, look for contrasts and relationships. Great photos often contain contrast, not just tonal contrast between light and dark, but conceptual contrast as well. Big and small, old and new, natural and man-made, chaos and order. Training your photographer's eye means noticing these relationships. A tiny flower growing through concrete, a child standing next to an adult, a modern building next to an historic building. These contrasts all tell stories. They create interest. They make viewers think. Colour contrast works brilliantly too. Complementary colours. Red and green, blue and orange, yellow and purple. Not sure if they're all complementary, but then again, as I am To a degree colourblind, I'm just going to keep on going. These complementary colours create visual pop. I'm sure somebody once said red and green together shouldn't be seen or something like that. When you see a red object against a green background, your photographer's eye should light up. That's a potential photo. And then we've got scale contrast, which is powerful. Something small in a vast landscape. Something huge dominating a small place. Our brains find these relationships fascinating. So photos that show scale and contrast can grab attention. Textural contrast creates interest. Rough and smooth, shiny and matte, soft and hard. When you see different textures next to each other, you're seeing a potential photograph. Start looking for opposites. When you see something, ask yourself, what's its opposite? Can I include both in the frame? How can I show this relationship? This way of seeing transforms ordinary scenes into more compelling images. Right, next tip, simplify. Less is always more. This is one of my favourites, this. Knowing what to exclude from a photo is just as important as knowing what to include. The photographer's eye isn't just about seeing what's there, it's about seeing what shouldn't be there. Your eye can filter out distractions easily. That rubbish bin in the corner, your brain ignores it. The telegraph wires crossing the sky, my pet hate. You don't really see them. But the camera captures everything and suddenly those distractions dominate your photo. And what we don't want to do is include things in a photo knowing we're going to remove them later on, if we can recompose so they're not there in the first place. Always try to get the best photo you can in camera at the time. Professional photographers are ruthless about simplification. We're constantly asking, does this element add to the photo or distract from it? If it doesn't add something, context, balance, story, visual interest, whatever, we remove it by changing our angle, moving closer, or waiting for it to leave the frame. Obviously, it depends what it is. Negative space is your friend. Empty areas in your photo are not wasted space. They give your subject room to breathe and draw the viewer's attention to what matters. Some of the most powerful photos are mostly empty space with one strong subject. Look at your viewfinder or your LCD screen before you shoot and consciously check the edges of the frame. What's lurking in the corners? Is there anything distracting? Can you recompose to eliminate it? This simple habit will dramatically improve your photos. Classic examples, a TV aerial sticking out of someone's head, half a tree, a bin, a bit of a car, a hosepipe. There's all sorts of things around the edges. An aerial sticking out of someone's head. That's not a good look, is it? Practice taking the same photo 3 ways. First, include everything you see. Second, eliminate obvious distractions. And then third, simplify it down to just the essential elements. And then compare the results. You're going to learn more from this exercise than from anything else. Okay, a quick recap. The photographer's eye isn't mystical, it's trainable. Start with light. Always look at the light first before you consider what you're photographing. Good light makes everything better. And I need to qualify this. If you've gone out to photograph a specific thing, of course you're not going to start with the light because you know what it is you're going to photograph. But your next consideration is the light. I'm not saying go out with your camera and just wait for the light to magically show you what you're going to photograph. No, I'm not really saying that. Okay, look for depth. Find foreground elements, use leading lines and show layers in your images. The world is 3-dimensional. Your photos should show that. Notice patterns, lines and shapes. Train yourself to see the geometric building blocks of good compositions. And look for broken patterns. They create instant focal points. Anticipate moments. Don't just react to what's happening. Predict what's about to happen. Watch, wait and be ready. See contrasts and relationships. Look for big and small, old and new, rough and smooth. These relationships make photos interesting and memorable. Simplify ruthlessly. Exclude anything that doesn't add to your photo. Less is always more. Always more, dear listener. And here's the most important thing. This skill develops with practice. The more you consciously look for these elements, the more automatic it becomes. Eventually, you won't need to think about it. You'll just see the photographs everywhere you look. Right, here's something for you to do. This is nice and simple. Take a walk without your camera. Leave your camera at home. Walk through your neighbourhood, a local park, or anywhere you'd normally photograph. But instead of taking photos, just walk around, look and think. And yes, these are my photography superpowers. Do this for 30 minutes. Then the next day, take the same walk with your camera and photograph everything you thought about taking photos of. Hopefully, you'll be amazed at how many great photos you capture. And more importantly, you'll start to see them automatically from now on. And the more you practice, the more this will happen. And here's an alternative exercise. This is a great one. Sit in one spot for 20 minutes. A cafe, a park bench, a busy street corner. Don't move. Don't stare at your phone, just watch. Notice how the light changes. Notice patterns of movement. Notice moments that repeat. Then spend 10 minutes photographing from that same spot. You'll create better photos than if you'd rushed around for 30 minutes. What if I use a phone to take my photos? Well, the photographer's eye has nothing to do with what gear you're using, nothing at all. These skills work exactly the same whether you're shooting with a professional camera or your phone. Your phone is perfect for practicing these skills. It's always with you so you can train your eye constantly. Waiting for a bus, look for patterns. Walking to the shops, notice the light. Having lunch, see the layers and depth in the scene around you. Use your phone's camera to practice composition. Take multiple shots of the same scene from different angles. Move closer, move back, change your height. See how small changes affect the final image. This experimentation develops your eye faster than anything else. Okay, what do I do? Well, I've been training my photographer's eye for decades and I'm still learning. Every day I'm still learning more. Every day I see things I didn't notice before. The difference now is it's automatic. I can't help but see photographs everywhere I go. While I'm driving, safely eyes on the road, I hasten to add, I'm constantly noticing the light. When I'm walking, I see compositions everywhere. I never switch off from this. And I review my photos critically. When a photo works, I ask myself, what did I see that made me stop and photograph this? What elements came together? And when a photo doesn't work, I'm equally interested. What did I miss? What looked better in person than the photo? This reflection process constantly refines my eye. And a thing on light and timing. With the photography I do, photographing buildings for clients, I don't normally get a choice about the time of day. It's often 9 or 10 a.m. in the morning up to 12 p.m, the most common time slot I'm allocated. And yes, that's potentially the worst light in the day. So I've learned to make the best of what I've got. It's that simple. I can't just take photographs when the light's amazing. I take photos when I have to. And that means I've got more walking around and looking and thinking to do because the light's potentially rubbish. Right, one more thing. The photographer's eye works in reverse too. Once you develop it, you start seeing why certain photos don't work. You look at a snapshot and immediately know what's wrong. The light's flat, there's no clear subject, the background's too busy, the moment's wrong. This critical eye is valuable because it helps you improve your own work. You'll start catching mistakes before you press the shutter, instead of discovering them later when you review your photos and you're looking at a load of rubbish. Remember, the goal isn't to create perfect photos every time. The goal is to see the potential for great photos everywhere you look, and then capture them when the opportunity arises. Some days you'll nail it, some days you won't. But that's photography. The photographer's eye gives you the ability to see the shot. The rest, the technical skills, the timing, the execution, they also come with practice. But seeing the shot first, that's what separates photographers from people with cameras. Okay, some thoughts from the last episode. Episode 219, which was titled... What was it titled? I can't remember. Why your photos look flat and how to fix them. I can't remember. There is a good reason for that. I'm not going to bore you with it now. So in episode 219, I talked about why your photos look flat and how to fix them, not surprisingly. with some simple editing adjustments that I do. Now, that episode focused on post-processing, fixing photos after you've taken them. But if you develop your photographer's eye, you'll take better photos in the first place. You'll see depth and layers before you shoot. You'll notice when the light is creating contrast and dimension. You'll anticipate moments instead of reacting to them. The photographer's eye and post-processing skills work together. Great photos start with great vision, seeing the potential before you press the shutter. Then editing refines and enhances what you captured and no more. That's all I do. That's what I believe. And if you don't agree with me, that's fine. But when I'm editing a photo, I'm trying to enhance what I've captured. I'm trying to make what I've captured look the best I can, right? But you can't edit your way out of a badly seen photo. If you've taken a photo and it's rubbish, editing won't make it not rubbish. So if you haven't listened to episode 219 yet, go back and check it out. It was very, very good. Well, I would say that, wouldn't I? These two episodes are different sides of the same coin, aren't they? One about seeing the photo, one about perfecting it afterwards. Next episode is episode 221. And the title is Composition Made Simple, The Rule of Thirds for Beginners. Yes, this is the single most useful composition technique you'll ever learn, and it works for absolutely everything you photograph. The rule of thirds is a practical application of the photographer's eye. Once you can see great photos everywhere, the rule of thirds helps you compose them effectively. It's the perfect follow-up to today's episodes. And I'm going to break all this down in plain English, show you exactly how to use the rule of thirds, and more importantly, when to break it. Because knowing when to break the rules is just as important as knowing the rules themselves. So make sure you subscribe, because episode 221 is going to transform how you compose your photos. How marvellous. Get in touch and subscribe. If you've enjoyed this episode, and I sincerely hope you have, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future ones. And for anything else, check out my website, rickmcavoyphotography.com, where you can find out how to ask a question, get a weekly email from me, get in touch, or find out more about my splendid podcast. You can text me directly from the podcast feed as well. And I have a YouTube channel. Just type Rick McEvoy into YouTube and you'll find me soon enough. And finally, yes finally, check out my courses page, where you'll find my splendid How to Become a Real Estate Photographer course. Alright, I am done. This episode was brought to you by a cheese and pickle sandwich and a Coke Zero, which I consumed before settling into my homemade, acoustically cushioned recording emporium. I've been Rick McEvoy. Thanks again very much for listening to my small but perfectly formed podcast, It Says Here, and for giving me 27-ish minutes of your valuable time. Now, I reckon this episode's going to be about 23 minutes long after I've edited out the mistakes and bad stuff. We'll see. Thanks for listening. Take care. Stay safe. Cheers from me, Rick. How to become a real estate photographer. rickmcavoyphotography.com/courses.